Beer O'Clock, and this is the Beer O'Clock Show. Thanks for joining us for our weekly dose of beer chatter. My name is Mark, and joining me backstage, propping up a Marshall amp and fending off middle-aged groupies, is my beer mentor and metal maestro, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you.
In your rock and roll kingdom.
That's an amazing introduction this week.
This is a special show this week as we combine our love of beer with the love of heavy music in a combo brought together by this week's selection. But before we get to that, Steve.
Yes.
We have a little special event coming up in September, haven't we?
We do, yeah. We've got our the first of what we hope will be many Beer O'Clock Show live events. We've teamed up with Vic Norman from Dragon and Flagon Tours. You can follow Vic on Twitter at Dragon and Flagon, and Vic's going to take us on a special Strand and Goblet tour around London on Saturday the 14th of September, and he's done Beer O'Clock Show listeners a special price for the tour as well. So Vic's tours are normally £10 a head, and he's managed to offer it to our listeners at just £9 a head. So bookings open now. Places are going fast. We've got about half of our places left. So if you fancy coming along, meeting Mark and I, meeting Vic Norman and hearing about some historical facts in London, and I suppose most importantly of all from our point of view, enjoying a good few beers with like-minded people and enjoying a little bit of live beer banter, get yourself booked in for the Beer O'Clock Show live on Saturday the 14th of September.
Yeah, so it's going to be basically one of Vic's great beer tours, and Steve and I will be there recording a few little bits. You don't have to be recorded if you don't want to be. But it'll be good just to get together and chat with folk, and if you want to get your voice on the podcast, and that's all well and good. Otherwise, we'll be drinking a variety of beers from a variety of historic pubs. It should be good.
Yeah. If you want to book, the website address is beeroclockshowlive.eventbrite. That's brite.co.uk. So that's beeroclockshowlive.eventbrite.co.uk.
Yeah.
That's where you can book your places now. It's basically a system where you book your place, and then what we'll do is we'll be in touch about a month before to take some cash off of you.
So you don't have to pay just now, you can pay in August.
Yes.
So you can save up that £9.
Yes, the grand total of £9.
So that'll be good. So we don't have any news, we don't have any little beery stuff, because we want to get straight to this week's featured beer, which is one that Steve and we've mentioned it before, and we actually did a as it happened announcement of its release.
Yes, we did. Didn't we? I forgot about that.
Its bottling was announced on Twitter just as we were recording, or the fact that it was being sent out on the trucks just as we were recording. And it's a peculiar one. It is brand new. It's from the Robinson's Brewery, and it's a beer put out under the name of my favourite band and one of Steve's favourite bands, Iron Maiden. And the beer is called Trooper. And Steve, what's the story behind this beer?
The story behind it is that for those of you who know Iron Maiden, that their lead singer Bruce Dickinson is a bit of a Real Al fan, and they wanted to brew a beer that was kind of I suppose in the spirit of what they do, and the music that they put out, and in the spirit of I suppose kind of the real traditional English ales that are available. So they had a look, that they approached a number of breweries to brew this beer for them, and they settled on the Robinson's Brewery because they said that the one thing that Robinson's offered, that maybe some of the others didn't, was they were committed to developing what Bruce Dickinson mentions a couple of times in a promotional video as a real long-term beer. So for those people out there that might be a little bit skeptical by it, it's just a cash in by a big band on the growing popularity of beer, I don't actually think that that's the case. I think what they want to do is put out a beer that will firstly attract their legion of fans, but secondly will also appeal to real ale drinkers across the country and across the world as well. So I think the fact that they've put it out under the name of Trooper, brilliantly branded bottle, fantastic label, looks really nice, and the fact that Bruce Dickinson's actually been involved in the brewing process as well, really is testament to their commitment to this being a long-term product rather than just something that happens to have been released a few weeks before their headline appearance at Download. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background of the beer.
Cool. And you've been a fan of Iron Maiden for a number of years.
I have, yeah. Yeah, back into my teens. I think they were probably my first introduction to heavy metal. Before that, it was all a bit Bon Jovi and Europe for me, and then suddenly kind of found Iron Maiden, and that was that, really.
Yeah, Maiden were the first band that I was ever passionate about, and I've been following them ever since. So I'm very pleased to have a bottle of this in my grubby little hands, and I can't wait to crack it open. So shall we just get into it now, mate?
Yeah, let's get into it.
I've not tried this. I know you've had one already. I'll announce that.
Yeah, I have.
I haven't.
When I tapped it in on Untapped, I put no comments about it because I didn't want. I knew we had this special coming up, and I didn't want anything to taint our special of it. So I am lucky enough to have already sampled one bottle of this, but I am looking forward to doing it again with company.
Yeah. Okay, so just looking at it, it's a nice golden or dark golden brown ale.
Yep.
One finger head.
Amber.
Yep. Amber, that's the word I'm looking for. Rather than goldy brown. One finger head, or barely one finger head. Not much carbonation at all.
No. Nice pour from that.
Nice mellow nose to it.
Yep. Grassy.
Now I'm going to try and be as unbiased as possible.
You've got to try and remember that you're just drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Forget what it's called. Forget who's been involved in it.
My God, it's the beer of the beast.
Yeah, it's the most amazing thing ever created.
All right, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
I'm going to let you have your say first because, as I say, I've drunk it before, so I've got a little bit of a preconception there. But
yeah, mildly hoppy, mildly malty. So far, it just tastes like a good English bitter.
Which isn't a bad thing because I think that's what they were aiming at.
Yeah, exactly. I know the boys like a pint of beer.
There's a slight spiciness on the aftertaste that comes through to a quite a nice bitter finish.
Yeah. Now I should add this is a 4.7% ABV, and handcrafted at Robinson's. And it's got Goldings, Bobek, and Cascade hops.
Now that's quite interesting because this is the first time I've heard of Bobek hops. I've heard of Goldings and Cascade, but I've never come across that third variety.
Okay.
In there. So, and I would assume that they're all good, strong English hops.
Yep.
In keeping with the tradition of it being a proper English beer.
It's very fresh in the mouth, isn't it?
It's a refreshing pint. I would very much like to try the cask version of this.
Yeah, I'm not getting the citrus from it yet.
No, it talks on the bottle, doesn't it, about
About having a hint of lemon,
a subtle hint of lemon. Yeah.
but maybe that freshness that's there is that citrus that hasn't quite come through yet, because this has only been out of the fridge maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so it hasn't quite warmed up yet. Let me warm the glass up a little bit.
So, see, I went for the alternative approach and just popped it in the fridge for an hour,
Right.
just to lightly chill it, really, more than anything. Because again, it recommends serving cool,
Yeah.
which is always an interesting description, and trying to work out what they mean by serving cool is always quite tough.
So we're seeing Maiden at Download this year,
We are.
at the Download Festival at Castle Donington. Have you seen Maiden before?
I have in 1995
Oh, really?
at the Brixton Academy, and it cost me about 15 quid for the ticket.
Was that when Blaze Bailey was with the band?
You'd know that probably better than I would. It's almost 20 years ago. My memory doesn't go back that far now.
Was it
95.
was it the X Factor tour?
It might have been.
In 95. Yeah, it probably would have been the X Factor tour.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the lineup with Dickinson as the lead singer. So
Right.
that Download will be something quite special for me.
Yeah.
I think it will be for the 100,000 or so people there, actually.
Yeah, I've seen them quite a few times. They were and probably still are my favourite band. I'm really looking forward to seeing them at Donington. They're playing a classic set
Yes,
Donington.
yeah.
From to mirror their '88 tour. So it's going to be all the classic stuff. It's going to be amazing, and with 100,000 home fans, it's going to be breathtaking. I can't wait.
At the home of rock
Yeah,
and metal as well.
they should have this beer on tap there, I reckon.
You would think, but I think I'm picking up rumours that it's going to be the same beer that we had at the festival last year. So I think it's going to be the Otter Brewery Otter Ale again. That's going to be the Tulberg alternative this year. Hopefully it'll be available in more than one bar though this year, because last year for some reason if you drink real ale you have to trek all the way over to the other side of the festival site to get a decent pint.
Which if the weather was anything like we had last year, then that's more than a hike.
Yes.
You need a 4x4 to go over there.
It's twice the hike. So yeah, there's a slight part of me that's a little bit disappointed that we're not going to the Bloodstock Festival, because the official beer of that's Hobgoblin.
Oh, really?
And now that there's a marriage made in heaven for me. Is Hobgoblin and metal music. Those two go hand in hand.
Yeah. But I think they're missing a trick if they don't have this at Download, which they're not going to, because it's all down to the catering companies.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that Maiden's manager Rod Smallwood hadn't already stuck his hand up to the promoters and said, "Hey up lad, you're going to put my beer on tap." Because that's how he talks.
Okay.
Not quite that bad. but he is from up that way. You know
Another one of Mark's great accents.
Hey up lad.
Well, you never know. We might get there, and we might be pleasantly surprised. That maybe on the Saturday when Maiden are playing, this will be all that's available to drink.
That'd be good. This is actually a half decent bitter.
It's a really enjoyable pint, isn't it? It's there's we've spoken a few times, and we've done a few of them now on the show as well. Things that these beers that we call your fairly standard bitters. This does fall into that category, but I don't know whether it's because of what it is or how it tastes that it just doesn't sit completely in that category for me. It just sits just outside of it. It's a standard bitter, but it's a quaffable standard bitter.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit heavier than I might choose usually. I I'm not really a fan generally of bitters. I like them enough, but I like the lighter, sweeter beers. But no, I think this is definitely drinkable. I'm almost finished my glass, which would probably suggest how drinkable it is.
Yeah.
Maiden!
So, give us a bit of background about the name then, because I'm going to leave this to you. Obviously, Trooper is the name of a song, but there's a story behind the song as well, isn't there? And
well, I can't remember who. I think Steve Harris, the bass player, wrote this song. From my beer phased memory. And anyway, both him and Bruce Dickinson are both history buffs. Dickinson actually has a degree in history, so a lot of their songs are based on historical events, and this one's actually based on the Charge of the Light Brigade, which took place at the Battle of Balaclava in 1854 in the Crimean War.
Crimean, yep.
So that's where the Trooper comes into it, and we'll play you would have heard a little bit of the clip when the show started, but that's supposed to reproduce the galloping of the horses and stuff. The doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So that's where the song comes from, Trooper. And if you look at the artwork, it's got their mascot Eddie the Head done up as a British soldier with a Union Jack flag, and he's on the original poster. He's climbing over corpses coming towards you. So
you couldn't get a more patriotic image than that,
no,
though.
you could not. No.
It's a fantastic image, and I think it just looks great on the bottle. And when we ordered this, we got a couple of beer mats sent with it as well. Tiny little beer mats in the shape of the Trooper.
Yeah.
So the same logo, and I think the pump clip's the same that you'd see in a pub as well. So the branding on it, I think, is just awesome. I think they've done an amazing job.
Yeah. If you go to Maiden's website, which is ironmaiden.com, they've got a story there about the beer, including pictures of Bruce Dickinson doing a tour or giving a tour of the Robinson's Brewery, and also pouring out a pint from a Trooper pump with the clip and everything.
Yep. And to order the beer, you can go to ironmaidenbeer.com, and that's where you can order yourself a few bottles of this fine brew, which indeed it is.
It is. If you like a nice, easy drinking, classic bitter, then you can't go much wrong with the Trooper. And if you love heavy music, do yourself a favour and get a couple bottles, because I'm going to wash this one out and put it on my shelf. I'm going to put it next to my Trooper figurine, and I'm sure I've got a Trooper single somewhere. I had a Trooper poster on my wall when I was a boy.
Trooper t-shirt?
I think I've got a Trooper t-shirt somewhere.
Yeah.
If not, I'm getting one this year at Download.
Yeah. I've got to admit, that's what I did with my first bottle of it. I washed it out, I cleaned it out, it dried, and it's now sat on the shelf. And that's because I just think, in terms of a great looking bottle as well. That is it. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah, I always go on about how ale drinking for me is basically stamp collecting, because I like, collecting the labels, I call it. I don't keep the bottles, but it's the labels that attract me. And what better than a label from my favourite band?
Yeah.
The beer's not outstanding, but it's a good beer. It's worth checking out.
Let's compare it to the and I know we don't like doing comparisons, but we're talking about standard bitters, and if you compare it to the Spitfire that we did last week, yes. I'd say it's more drinkable than the Spitfire.
Definitely drinkable. That Spitfire was very hoppy for me, but like I said last week, after the hops, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
This one's mildly hoppy, mildly malty. There's nothing there that's overpowering the other bits.
Yeah.
And
it's all in the background, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
it's got that
just
nice
blends together really well.
Definitely, yeah. It's got that nice spicy aftertaste, which isn't too spicy again. It just settles there. And a nice freshness from the citrus notes that they've put through it, which I still can't pick up, but again, I'm thinking it's the freshness that I'm getting.
I think it's a very well balanced, drinkable bitter. Everything in there is very well balanced. You could quite easily sit and have a few of these,
Yes.
and enjoy them as well, and want to go back for more.
Hmm. Okay. Trooper aside, Steve, what's your favourite Maiden song?
You said you wasn't going to
I
ask me that.
I wasn't going to ask you for a top 10.
Oh, okay. It would be wrong of me to, or it would be somewhat predictable of me to suggest maybe the Trooper would be there. But if we were going top 5 or top 3, that the Trooper would certainly be in there as one of my all-time favourites. I think for me it's really hard to come up with a single song that is an absolute favourite, but it would be, I think, possibly 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Okay.
There's something about that track. I think it might have been. I'm pretty sure it was on the first Maiden album that I bought, because I didn't buy them in sequence.
No.
And it's one of those songs. It's just got a really powerful intro and a really huge chorus to it, and it's that, or it's Aces High for me. It's one of those two.
Yeah.
What about you?
Like you, I can't really pick one. I often say that Wasted Years is my favourite song of theirs, but then I automatically think, what about Children of the Damned from their Number of the Beast album, which is from '82? But then what about 2 Minutes to Midnight, which is again one of my favourite Adrian Smith compositions, especially the one from their live album, which is just monstrous. But yeah, I can't really. Those are my top 3, I think. All of which I'm hoping that they'll play in August, in June. Fingers crossed.
If you had your way, they'd play their entire catalogue, and it'd be just them playing all weekend.
I don't know about that. They do have a lot of shit. But when they play the good stuff, my God, it's the good stuff. I'm looking forward to that weekend. That's going to be great, especially if they have Trooper on tap. Otherwise, I'll settle for the Otter.
I'll settle for the Otter. I quite enjoyed the Otter last year.
And I'll be down the front, pint glass ahoy, singing along to every single song.
Yeah. Be able to spot you.
You will. I'll be the fat bearded bloke. Actually, there'll be quite a few fat bearded blokes to download, especially on Maiden's night, with pint glasses ahoy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty much a stereotypical image of what that weekend's going to look like, I think.
Yep, a lot of beards, a lot of fat blokes, a lot of Zimmer frames.
A lot of denim.
A lot of denim with patches.
Denim and leather.
Denim jackets that have been dragged out of the closet for the first time in 20 years.
Yes.
Because Maiden's playing download. Cats crawling all over everything. Fucking cat. Okay, so let's wrap this up. It's been a nice short show.
Yeah,
but it's been a nice pint.
It's been a lovely pint. I've really enjoyed it, and we're actually we're going to be giving our listeners a chance to win a couple of bottles of this as well. We held a couple of bottles back from our stash, and also held back a couple of the beer mats as well. So we have 2 prizes of a bottle of Trooper and a Trooper beer mat, that will be given away in conjunction with this show, and it's going to be one of those simple follow and retweet on Twitter for your chance to win. So keep an eye out for that, and if you fancy winning a bottle, all you've got to do is just retweet our message and help us to get thousands more followers.
Yeah, so that competition is going to go for a couple of weeks, because we're taking a couple of weeks break.
Yes, we are.
We'll announce it when we come back.
Mm-hmm.
From our little sojourn in Steve, you're going away for a little bit.
I am
on a brief hiatus, and
yes.
I'll be wandering lonely around the flat, not sure what to do on a Tuesday and Wednesday night. Pining.
I'm sure I could dial in from Spain and tell you how shit the locally produced lager is that I'm drinking, because it's free.
No, it's okay. I'll just be pining for a pint with my digital buddy. It's fine. You go and leave me, mate.
Oh well, I'll be seeing you when I'm back anyway.
You will.
We're off to download.
We're off to download. You can find us on Twitter at Beer O'Clock Show. Website is beeroclockshow.co.uk and facebook.com/Beer O'Clock Show. You can also find us on iTunes. Just do a search for Beer O'Clock Show or follow the link from the website. And give us a review and rating. We really appreciate your support. And if you're listening via Stitcher Radio app, please give us a thumbs up because that helps with our rating as well. Right, Steve, I'm going to finish off my pint. You can say your adieus.
Okay, yes. See you all in a few weeks, folks, when I'm back from drinking locally produced cheap shit Spanish lager and having spent a weekend in a muddy field at Donington again. We'll be back with another episode of your favourite podcast, talking about more beer and how hoppy and malty it tastes.
That's our niche.
Yes.
Oh, and before we go, let's give a final rating for this Trooper from Robinson's Brewery. What would you give it out of 5 bottle caps, mate?
I'm hesitant to give it the middle of the road 3 because just because, like yourself, probably a little bit biased because of the whole packaging and background to it. Although it's not quite good enough for a 4, so I'm thinking this is a 3.5.
That's exactly the rating I was going to give it. It's a very drinkable bitter, very nicely balanced. Nothing special though.
No, it's not.
No, but if you're looking for a good bottle of a decent bitter, you couldn't go much wrong with this. It's definitely worth it. Especially if you're a heavy music fan.
Absolutely, and I think if it's anything like Robinson's Brewery, I think I mentioned this on a previous show, put out a beer in conjunction with Elbow about 18 months ago. That's now widely available with Morrison's, so wow. I'm hoping that this follows suit because there are quite a few Robinson's beers in Morrison's, so I'm thinking once they've got all their pre-orders out, because they had a huge amount of pre-orders for this because the world just went nuts for it, Yeah, it's a Iron Maiden beer, for God's sake. The world's not gonna not go nuts for it. Yeah. So hopefully, I'm hopeful that we will see it on the shelves in Morrison's in a few months' time. And if there is this commitment to it being a real long-term beer, hopefully it'll be part of the Robinson's range, a permanent feature of the Robinson's range.
Cool. Fingers crossed. All right, mate.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Have a lovely break.
I will do. You too.
I'll try. Oh, I'm going to miss you.
Oh, I'm going to miss you too, and I'm going to miss our listeners and all the fantastic feedback that they give us.
Yeah.
But we will be back. It's just a little mid-season break, and then we'll be back to finish the season.
Yeah.
And we've got some great stuff coming up in the second part of the season.
We've got some amazing stuff coming up. It's going to be a great end to the season when we come back from a little break.
Yes.
Cool. All right, mate. Have a good day.
See you soon.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.